In certain parts of the world, some houses are haunted. They creak and moan, whisper secrets from beyond, and occasionally bleed phantom tears. But these are stories we've heard before. Some houses, though, are different. Some houses are more like prisons. Their shadows reach out and grab you, refusing to let go until it's too late. This is the story of a place even ghosts fear to linger in Moira. So if you can hear me, don't stop. From the 1920s to the 1940s, the northern section of Flores in Buenos Aires, Argentina, was where the elite went when they wanted to build their dream home. Away from the noise of the city, but close enough to drive in whenever they wanted to get back to the good life. It was here, on this manicured stretch of land called La Plata, that a mansion would be built. It was ornate, symmetrical, and imposing, faced with white marble and ornamented with stone lions that guarded its flanks. Its balcony rested upon 4 squat stone pillars. Inside, hand-carved mahogany spiraled around the staircase. Tiffany glass windows adorned the walls with stained glass, and a gilded mirror caught the light at the top of the stairs. There's no record of who commissioned this home, but it was clearly meant for a family of means. However, the family never stayed long. In the 1960s, the home was sold. New owners moved in, then moved out a few years later, then a few years after that. Locals claim the area was once home to an ancient burial ground used by the local indigenous people. By then, the house was falling apart. The rumors of what made it so infamous had already begun. Some say the land was cursed before the home was even built. When the neighborhood was being planned, the bones were supposed to have been gathered and relocated to a cemetery. But some remained hidden beneath the new foundations. Others said the curse was laid by a former landowner. She owned the parcel of land for generations until the government seized it for delinquent taxes. Unable to accept that her family would lose the home, she placed a curse upon it, ensuring no family would find happiness within its walls. Whatever the reason, the neighbors were getting nervous. Then in the mid-1970s, a fire broke out, apparently started by electrical problem. Though nobody was living there at the time, the flames did considerable damage. Since then, every single night, she has been seen. Then in 1982, a maid was hired by the latest owners to clean out the house. As she worked alone in the middle of the day, she climbed the grand staircase to the upper floors. Yet when anyone approaches, they report hearing their name being whispered from inside the house. The locals call her La Mujer de la Ventana, which translates to the woman in the window. When she came upon the second landing, she allegedly took her own life by hanging. Her body was discovered the next day by police, and her death became a local scandal. With cameras, EMF detectors, and voice recorders, they set up on the stair landing and waited. For decades, the neighbors claimed to see a pale woman staring listlessly out of a second-floor window. She doesn't blink, move, or leave. She just stares. They say she is only seen during storms or bitter winter evenings, and always in the same place. Who is she? How did she die? Why does she stay? Nobody knows. No salgas, and the rest were unintelligible. By the 1990s, the house was completely abandoned. Despite the fire, the murder, and the ghost, rumors persisted that a family had been seen moving in, but no one ever returned from their trip to the store. These urban legends inspired paranormal investigators to pay the house a visit. Suddenly, all the cameras shut off and none of them would turn back on. The one exception was a camera recording inside the house. According to the lead investigator, the presence was incredibly heavy and the whole place felt rotten. What appeared on the screen terrified them. Voices could be heard whispering, "Estoy viva." His ribs had been cracked and many of his teeth knocked loose. Back in the safety of their car, they listened to the rest of their EVPs and began to put together the alphabet. They heard the date September, the year 1982, and the phrase, "help me." He would soon learn why. After he left, one of the team members collapsed in the attic and refused to speak to anyone for weeks. Then when it cut back on, one of them was missing. His friends and family took him to see doctors, who diagnosed him with PTSD and institutionalized him. His friends dragged him out of the house before he fainted and the police arrived. Even today, he lives under the care of others and will never speak of his experience at La Moira. By this point, the tales of tragedy at the home were growing. In 1998, two teenagers snuck inside to party. They climbed the great marble staircase to dance in the light of the moon. One of them lost her footing and fell down the entire flight of stairs. She was dead on impact. Just 5 years later, a homeless man was seeking shelter from the elements when he wandered inside. Perhaps the house was named La Moira in her honor. He was never seen again. His body turned up on the floor below the second-story window where the lady stood. Though locals suspected animals, police were never able to determine a cause of death. Then in 2009, a group of urban explorers entered La Moira and attempted to live stream. Sure enough, the shutter flickered and a woman could be seen inside. As they walked through the ruined rooms, they heard strange whispers. Suddenly, their camera froze. It recorded total darkness for 6 minutes. Watches run backwards, cell phones lose battery immediately, and alarms stop working. While they searched for their friend, another began to fade away. To this day, no lock has ever been found on the inside of any door. Yet they were trapped for those terrifying minutes. The more desperate they are to leave, the harder she tries to keep them inside. But a few insist the house is alive. Among the crumbling wallpaper and piles of debris, paranormal investigators discovered strange symbols carved into the floorboards, fireplace stones, and cellar walls. They resembled archaic hieroglyphics or the markings on an old gravestone. Perhaps the lady in the window reaches out to them and begs them to return. La Moira house remains silent, but it is not empty. Later, paranormal scholars claimed one matched the Greek word Moirai, meaning fates. How did they escape the clutches of the house, and why did they come back? Perhaps it was to warn us. In Greek mythology, the Moirai were 3 sisters who determined the length of a mortal's life. Atropos was the youngest, and her task was to cut the thread of life. Maybe the family who lived here understood the danger they invited into their home and chose to embrace it. Today, La Moira continues to stand in silent defiance. The mansion has been stripped of most of its valuables, and the land around it has been paved over, turning it into an island of ruin in a sea of city streets. Though it looks much the same as it did in the 90s, the drone footage tells a different tale. In 2021, a man flew a drone past the window where the lady in the window sat. But when the drone flew closer, they saw that there was nobody else in sight. Locals say the electrical outages that hit this block often originate in La Moira. Anyone brave enough to visit reports that time feels wrong. It is as if the house consumes emotion and stores the trauma within its walls to feed on later. What is happening at La Moira? Is it a haunting or a spiritual trap? Paranormal psychologists claim the building affects human cognition. Those who enter become fearful and hallucinate seeing the woman in the window. Some believe the house simply collects negative energy, acting as a wound in the fabric of reality that draws in the lost and broken. Local priests refuse to set foot inside because they know they wouldn't come back. The question is, who was the last person to come back from La Moira? Perhaps they couldn't bring themselves to abandon the house. But I think we all know the truth. If you ever pass it in Buenos Aires, do not look up at the window. She is still there, and she remembers you